To the development of the medulla oblongata. Only one diagram here, and this will be the entire roof plate of medulla oblongata. We know that medulla oblongata, first sentence will be, it will develop from which portion of rhomboencephalon? It will develop from myelencephalon. So therefore, the first sentence will be medulla oblongata will develop from the myelencephalon. Now, in the myelencephalon here, we once again draw this in such a way that we show LR, then basal, then once again basal and LR. This is how we show. And similarly over here, we will show the same pattern where we show these two bulgings. So this is how we show the cross section of medulla. This much we have to draw. And this is, we know the cavity. Which cavity will be present here? Fourth ventricle. This is the roof portion, fourth ventricle. And this is the main cross section of medulla oblongata that will develop from the myelencephalon. This is myelencephalon. Now here we go based upon functional component, based upon the same functional components which we have described, same way we have to describe the development. So therefore we are going to put in all the cranial nerve nuclei based upon these functional components only, and that itself is the development of medulla oblongata. So we start, here we go. The first nuclei to develop will be the first nuclei that will develop in the somatic efferent, which is the first functional component medial to lateral basal lamina, somatic efferent. So somatic efferent functional component in medulla oblongata will develop into one cranial nerve nuclei. And which cranial nerve nuclei will come? That will represent or that will develop from somatic efferent functional column in the basal lamina at the level of medulla oblongata. That will be, here first I draw, this is the first one. So this will be the hypoglossal nerve nucleus. If you recollect the gross anatomy, cross section of medulla oblongata at a lower level, hypoglossal nerve nucleus was always there. So here we draw the hypoglossal nerve nucleus, and here you have to mention, in this way we will mention this as the, we will write in the Roman numericals, hypoglossal nerve nucleus, Roman numericals, so it will occupy less space. This will develop from somatic efferent column. Please note down. So here also you have to write down somatic efferent. This is the only sentence you have to write down. Hypoglossal nerve nucleus will develop from somatic efferent column. That will supply the muscles of the tongue. Then second column. Which was the second column? The second column that was present in the basal lamina was known as spatial visceral efferent, or it is called branchial efferent. Now this spatial visceral efferent or branchial efferent at the level of medulla oblongata will develop into very important nucleus. This is also asked in 1 mark question answer in MCQs. Nucleus ambiguous. Now here this nucleus ambiguous, instead of representing in a same linear manner from medial to lateral, you represent it in such a way that we have to draw it slightly ventrolateral. So therefore, the position which I have made, I will change this position in such a way that from here, this position will go slightly ventrolateral. So this is where you have to draw nucleus ambiguous, which will develop from which functional component? Spatial visceral efferent or branchial efferent. This is how you have to draw nucleus ambiguous. And based on nucleus ambiguous, there are two MCQs, two 1 mark question answers. So here we will first write down here this as nucleus ambiguous. What is nucleus ambiguous? Now remember, the spatial visceral efferent or branchial efferent, this nucleus ambiguous will develop from the branchial arches. So those branchial arches which will develop in such a way that here this nucleus ambiguous, it consists of collection of glossopharyngeal plus vagus plus cranial part of accessory nerve. So 9, 10, 11 cranial nerve nuclei together will form the nucleus ambiguous, and therefore it will develop from which all branchial arches, from which pharyngeal arches? It will develop from arch number 3, glossopharyngeal, arch number 4, superior laryngeal nerve, and arch number 6, which is known as recurrent laryngeal, but it will also represent cranial part of accessory nerve nucleus. So therefore, nucleus ambiguous will develop from 3, 4 and 6 branchial arches. And this nucleus ambiguous will supply, we know, all the muscles of the soft palate, pharynx and larynx, etc. Then this nucleus ambiguous will be located ventrolaterally. And why it is located ventrolaterally? Why it will migrate ventrolaterally from its original position? Because of one feature which is called neurobiotexis. Please note down. This is general anatomy question also. It is often asked in neuroanatomy also. Neurobiotexis is a chemical attractant, or because of electrical stimulation, chemical stimulation, one of the nuclei will be attracted towards the source of stimulation. Here in this case, the sensory nucleus is the source of stimulation, where the motor nucleus is attracted towards it. What is the motor nucleus? Nucleus ambiguous. And what is the source of stimulation? Somewhere here, there will be spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve. And this spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve, since it is a sensory nucleus, it will attract, it will cause stimulation of motor nucleus. Which nucleus? Nucleus ambiguous. And therefore, this is an example of neurobiotexis. This example of neurobiotexis will also be represented in bones, where the facial nucleus will be attracted towards the source of stimulation, sensory nucleus. So neurobiotexis, two examples are there. This is the first one, nucleus ambiguous, example of neurobiotexis. Then we go to the third pair of nuclei. The third pair of nuclei is represented by which functional component? It is represented by general visceral efferent. So third group of nuclei, general visceral efferent. And this general visceral efferent, it will lead to development of preganglionic parasympathetic fibers which supply secretomotor fibers to the glands, as well as those fibers which will supply smooth muscles to alimentary system, respiratory system and the heart. Therefore here we include two nuclei in the medulla oblongata. Those two nuclei will be, number one, the first nuclei will be dorsal nucleus of vagus. It goes and supplies where? It goes and supplies the smooth muscles of alimentary system, the parasympathetic fibers to the glands, alimentary system, the respiratory system as well as the heart. So dorsal nucleus of vagus is included here, and here we will mention this as dorsal nucleus of vagus. And the second nucleus which includes in the same component will be inferior salivatory nucleus. So here, just besides the dorsal nucleus of vagus, we will draw here inferior salivatory nucleus. And this inferior salivatory nucleus will be the nucleus which belongs to which cranial nerve? It belongs to glossopharyngeal nerve nuclei, and therefore here we mention this as inferior salivatory nucleus, and it will supply preganglionic secretomotor fibers to the parotid gland. So therefore these two nuclei will be located in the general visceral efferent. Here we complete the development of medulla oblongata, those cranial nerve nuclei which will develop in the basal lamina of medulla oblongata. All the three columns we have completed: somatic efferent, branchial efferent and general visceral efferent. Then we go to the alar lamina. In the alar lamina, the first group, that is the first functional column from ventral to dorsal will be, the first one will be, it was known as general visceral efferent. So general visceral efferent, now that general visceral efferent is represented by same dorsal nucleus of vagus nerve. So therefore this dorsal nucleus of vagus nerve, once again we will draw it in such a way that you represent this with yellow arrow. I show it as dorsal nucleus of vagus nerve, which is the same functional component, general visceral efferent, and previously in the basal lamina it was having general visceral efferent. So sometimes it is asked in 1 mark or in MCQs, the dorsal nucleus of vagus will carry visceromotor as well as viscerosensory fibers. So dorsal nucleus of vagus will serve as visceromotor nucleus as well as viscerosensory nucleus. Very important statement and very important point. So therefore dorsal nucleus of vagus will be general visceral afferent in LR lamina. It will represent also general visceral afferent because it will bring the sensations from the abdomen. So it will represent general visceral afferent. Then next functional component besides general visceral afferent, which we saw here, was functional component number 5, and that was spatial visceral afferent. That spatial visceral afferent will be represented by, there will be a very small nucleus besides the dorsal nucleus of vagus nerve, which is situated just laterally or dorsolateral to dorsal nucleus of vagus, and that nucleus will be known as the nucleus of tractus solitarius. So therefore, here we will write down the nucleus of tractus solitarius, and this nucleus of tractus solitarius will develop from which functional column? It will develop from the spatial visceral afferent. What will it do? It will bring the taste sensations from the tongue as also from the palate. Then we go to functional component number 6, and that functional component number 6 here, this was known as general somatic afferent. So when we come over here, in general somatic afferent, there will be, the general somatic afferent will develop into here spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve. So here you draw in a bigger way, in a bigger round to represent it as spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve. So here we draw this as spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve, and therefore here we will also write down this as the spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve. This will develop only from general somatic afferent. What will it do? As I told you, general somatic afferent means it will bring sensations from scalp, face and the external ear. And the last functional component, which was known as spatial somatic afferent. So spatial somatic afferent also you draw here, and this spatial somatic afferent, once you draw on the extreme last, on the extreme sides as the last functional group, spatial somatic afferent. Here we give the name as vestibulocochlear group of nuclei, which will develop here. And so therefore here we will mention this as vestibular and cochlear group of nuclei. Vestibular and cochlear group of nuclei, which will develop from spatial somatic afferent column. And later on, this vestibular nuclei, we know that they are 4, superior, inferior, medial, lateral, and cochlear will be 2, dorsal and ventral cochlear nuclei. But this entire bunch of nuclei, vestibular and cochlear, will develop from spatial somatic afferent. Since we have finished the entire development of medulla oblongata based upon these nuclei, now only a few points are left. If you recollect the cross section, in the marginal layer of the medulla oblongata, and which marginal layer? Just ventral to basal lamina. This is basal lamina. So ventral to basal lamina, somewhere over here in this marginal layer, there were presence of 2 important nuclei, arcuate nucleus as well as the olivary nucleus. So therefore, if you draw the arcuate and olivary nucleus, I will draw this olivary nucleus here. I will draw this olivary nucleus in this way, and arcuate nucleus I will draw like this. So once you draw the arcuate and olivary nucleus, also we will mark it arcuate nucleus, and this will be the olivary group of nuclei. So therefore, here you mention that these 2 nuclei, they will develop from LR lamina of metencephalon as well as myelencephalon. Second point, after developing from the LR lamina of metens and myelencephalon, these 2 nuclei will come and fall down. It will migrate. Where it will migrate? To the marginal layer. Which marginal layer? The same marginal layer which is present anterior to the basal lamina. Where? In myelencephalon. Where? In the myelencephalon, in medulla oblongata. So therefore, these nuclei, the arcuate nucleus and olivary nucleus, have migrated from the LR lamina. They have developed from LR lamina of both metencephalon and myelencephalon. They have migrated in the marginal layer in front of basal lamina, and they've settled there. And therefore they form the important nuclei which are present within the marginal layer of medulla oblongata. And the last point in development of medulla oblongata, if you recollect, nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus. Only one sentence. The nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus will develop from, this is worth mentioning here, which is this column, functional group basically, the second last in the LR lamina. The second last in LR lamina is general somatic afferent. So therefore here I will mention general somatic afferent. So therefore the general somatic afferent functional group of nuclei in the myelencephalon will lead to the development of, now here, nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus. Nucleus gracilis and cuneatus. So therefore, this sometimes it is asked as one more question answer also. Nucleus gracilis cuneatus will develop from general somatic afferent. So in short, is it developing from basal lamina or LR lamina? LR lamina. And what about the olivary nucleus and arcuate nucleus? It will develop from basal lamina or LR lamina? It will develop from LR lamina. They have migrated from the LR lamina and settled where? In the marginal layer. But settled where? In the marginal layer ventral to the basal lamina. So therefore here we complete the development of entire medulla oblongata. Thank you very much.